Thank you very much, Ed. Again, welcome you to MedZone African Motives, whereby we are still on business studies grade 10 term 3 notes. And in today's presentation now, we are going to be on business plan, notes on business plan. So we are going to know about business plan. We are going to know what business plan is all about. Let us now start the work of today. So here we are on business plan. The meaning of business plan. The meaning of business plan. As it says, a business plan is a written description of a prospective business. That is that. Meaning to say a business plan is a document. Business plan is a document that explains what the business is, what it will sell, how it will operate. That's what the business plan is all about. So, for example, a person planning to open a bakery writes a business plan, explain the products they will sell and their target customers. Hope you're together, great tense. Now, it further on says it explains how the prospective business owner will obtain funding. The business plan is going to explain how the owner will obtain funding. So, meaning to say the business plan shows where the money to start or grow the business will come from, such as loans, savings, investors. That is that. So it also analyzes potential strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So, meaning to say the business plan identifies the business advantages, disadvantages, opportunities for growth, as well as possible risk. For example, let's talk about strength. Strength that will be, let's say, high quality products that you're going to sell. Weakness will be limited startup capital. Maybe the capital that you're going to start with is very, very limited. So it won't allow you to expand your business. That's a weakness. Opportunities, growing demand for online shopping. So that's opportunity that you have to grab. But when it comes to threats now, we can talk of a strong competition from established business. So hope we understand. So business plan analyze all this SWOT analysis. So that is that. It also describes how the business will deal with threats and market its goods or services. So what it means is that the business plan explains how the business will overcome risks and then attract customers. That is that. Hope we are together, good people. It is prepared for presentation to any interested stakeholders, for example, the bank manager. So the business plan is shown to people or organizations that may invest in or support a business. For example, a bank manager studies the business plan before deciding whether to approve a business plan. That is why we say it is prepared for presentation to any interested stakeholder. So, like they've said, the bank manager usually requests business plan when the entrepreneur applies for finance and refers to the business plan before granting him or a loan, like we have already said that. The business plan includes, among others, the marketing and financial plans. So it explains how products will be promoted. That is what we're talking about marketing. Also, how the business will manage its money. That is when you're talking about financial plans. So that is that, good people. So it is a good idea to show data in tables, graphs to make plan easier to understand. So you know very well that charts and graphs make information easier to understand than long paragraphs. Like you can talk of a bar graph showing expected monthly sales. So that is that, good people. Now let us come to the importance of what of a business plan. Importance of business plan. As it says, a business plan helps entrepreneurs set goals and objectives. So it means a business plan gives entrepreneur clear targets to achieve. Like if you want to increase your monthly sales by 20% within the first year, that is very clear target that you want to achieve. That is why we say it helps entrepreneurs to set the goals and objectives. It can be used to attract investors and prospective employees. A good business plan convinces investors to provide funding and um, and attract the skilled workers. So that is that. It also helps stakeholders to understand the role they play in the business and encourages them to contribute effectively. So, meaning to say, as it helps stakeholders understand the role, it explains each person's responsibility so everyone works towards the same goal. That is that. It guides the entrepreneur on the viability of his or her business idea. So, meaning to say, it helps determine whether the business idea is likely to succeed. So, like if you do market research is going to show if there is a high demand for mobile phones, if you're selling mobile phones, let's say, for example. That is when it can show the feasibility or viability of the idea. It helps entrepreneur to identify problems that may arise and helps management to take steps to avoid these problems. So the business plan allows management to prepare solutions for possible challenges. So that's what we are trying to say. Uh, then it further on says it improves the business operations processes and practices. So it means it helps business operate more effectively. It also evaluates the success of the business. It also evaluates the success of the business. The business plan allows the owner to compare actual performance with his or her planned goals. So you compare your actual monthly profits with the projected profits. So that's what we are saying you are going to be able to evaluate the success of the business because you're going to look at your expectations and compare it with the actual. You're going to have your expected performance and compare with the actual performance, and then you take it from there when you get that variance. It is essential when applying for financial assistance from investors or lenders. So we know when you talk of lenders, we talk of banks, we talk of investors. So banks and investors usually require a business plan before providing a finance. That's what we know. So before they can approve the business plan, they first have to have it so that they can approve it. Compels an entrepreneur to arrange his or her thoughts in a logical order. So what does it mean when he says it compels entrepreneur to arrange his or her thoughts in a logical order? So it means writing a business plan helps organize ideas in a clear and structured way. That is that. Gives direction once the business is operating. So the business plan acts as a guide for making business decisions, like, for example, following the marketing plan to advertise products throughout the year. It also helps entrepreneurs to face threats head on and deal with them. So it prepares the business to respond to risk and challenges. That's what the business plan is all about. Now we come to challenges now. Challenges of the macro environment using pastel analysis. Using pastel analysis. As it says, entrepreneurs should look at the factors that could have negative impact on their business. So business owners must identify external factors that may reduce profits or affect operations. Like you can talk of rising fuel prices, increased transport costs. So look at those factors that could have negative impact on the business. Business do not have control over the elements or features of the macro environment. So external factors happen outside the business and cannot be controlled by the business because business cannot stop inflation or changes in the government laws. That's what it means. A pastel analysis enables the business to identify challenges that are posed by following external factors. That is physical, economic, social, technological, legal as well as environmental factors. So here we are talking about Pascal analysis. As we have said, our business use Pascal analysis to scale the environment. So Pascal helps business identify what the external factors that may affect the business. First, when you talk of Pascal, we are going to have for Pascal like as it is Pascal, we have to know, let's say it's Pascal, né? Pascal. So our P stands for what? P stands for political. P stands for political. E stands for economic. And we have S for stands for social. Then we have T stands for technological. Technological. Then we have R, which you know very well stands for legal. And we have E, which stands for environmental. So this is that. So Pascal analysis, when we talk of political factors, when we talk of political factors, this is where we are saying government decisions and political conditions that are going to affect the business. For example, an increase in company tax, we know very well they're going to reduce what? Profits. Then coming to economic now, economical factors, economic factors. These are changes in the economy that affect the business performance. Like we can talk of inflation that increases the cost of raw materials. Coming to social now, factors. These are changes in people lifestyle, culture, population, or preferences. For example, more customers prefer healthy foods. So restaurants add healthier menu options. So that is that. Now coming to technological. Now, technological. New technology can improve or disrupt business operations. So a retail store, for example, introduce online shopping and digital payments because of the new technology. Legal, a legal factor, laws and regulation business must follow. For example, a business complies with labor compliance, so it have to supposed to comply with labor laws by paying employees the minimum wage. That is when you're talking about what? Legal. But environmental now, factors that is natural environmental issues that affect business. We can talk of drought. We know a drought reduces water supply for farms, affecting crop production. So these are what we are talking about. So thank you very much for your time, good people. Thank you.